Good morning, everybody, all my peeps. This is Paul Romero, the Swiss Gold Global Independent Business Owner, Network Marketing Training number 87. And this is a new op day, January 19th, 2015. It is a holiday today, Martin Luther King birthday today, I believe. Did you know that if you take out all of the time for sleeping and you take out all the time that we spend working and you take out all the time that we spend commuting and we take out all the time that we spend running around doing all the things that we have to do each and every day, that almost every person has but 1, maybe 2 hours of time for themselves to do the things that they like to do. And even if they had the time, would they have the money? We have discovered a way for you to learn how to own your life by building a home-based business. And we have a system for doing this that is so easy that anybody can do it. I mean, anybody can do it. And the best part is, it doesn't take much of your time. I don't suppose you would know anybody that might be interested in something like this, would you?
I happen to know several people, Paul.
Oh, hey, John, what's happening? You know anybody be interested in something like that?
Man, when you put it that way, I'd be interested in something like that, Paul. It's funny, actually. You took the words right out of my mouth, literally, because I had planned on getting on here this morning when it was tossed back to me to say good morning, and you remembered it was new op day. I'm very proud of you. I was going to get into just wishing everybody, I guess, a happy Martin Luther King's Day, and point out the fact that although today is a holiday and banks are closed, successful people, motivated people, we're not going to be sitting at home doing nothing because it was a 3-day weekend. In fact, I'm a little disappointed that the banks are closed and the title companies are closed and things of that nature, because I certainly would like to be closing business today, to be quite honest with you. And I was going to use that as my little intro to go into what Paul went into, mentioning the fact that when you take out the time for commuting and sleeping and everything that Paul went over, that is the 45-second presentation. And that's awesome that he started off the call with that this morning, because that touches upon exactly kind of what we're going to go into today, is that 45-second presentation, and do a quick overview of where we've gone so far and explaining the Own Your Life Plan book, and dig right in to the next napkin presentation where we left off. So good job this morning, Paul, so far.
Well, I just want to say that, yes, it is Martin Luther King's birthday today, and, great man, probably deserves to have a day in his honor celebrated. But I like to look at this day as a different holiday. I like to look at this day as the stick a fork in my New Year's resolution day, because I'm done. And I don't necessarily mean I'm done because I completed it, because I did it, because I was successful at it, because it was only a short-term thing and I finished it. I'm talking about stick a fork in it because it's done, because I quit. I gave up. I couldn't do it. I failed, which by this time of the month, 90% of the people have done exactly that. Maybe even more. I don't know. But you know what? What a great way to start off a new year, with a huge, humongous, horrendous failure, a giant quit, a fantastic I gave up, and I'm starting off my year great. What a great system we have. So with that, John, I just want to say, if you have and you give up, you quit, you failed, hey, beginning of the year. Get back on the pony and get out there and live up to your own expectations. And with that, John, why don't you take us where you want to go?
Well, with that being said, Paul, I want to add something to what you just said there, and that's, I believe, life, your success, everything is about momentum, right? So what does everybody do at the beginning of every New Year's is they make a resolution. Now, I know people now that make a resolution to not make resolutions, but after all, that in of itself is a resolution. But what I'm trying to say here is that if you started off this year with some goals and some resolutions and some things, well, number one, if they weren't written down, then of course you're going to fail, because a goal that's not written down is nothing more than an idea, and ideas get forgotten. As fast as they come into your mind, they leave your mind. So if your goals aren't written down and your New Year's resolutions aren't written down, you've already begun the year on a path to failure. So if that's you and you've got goals and resolutions, write them down. And you know what? As Paul said, if you've already decided that, hey, I'm 16 days in, and I made this resolution, and I haven't even begun to work at making this resolution a reality, you know what? Don't quit now, because you're going to set the momentum for your year, and that momentum is non-existent. You're going to be on a path to failure. So with that being said, let's get in today's content. Write your goals down and start your year off with the right momentum, which actually, it's awesome, Paul, and I think you'd agree that we're going through this Own Your Life Plan book right at the beginning of a year. Because for those of you that are already in network marketing or have an interest in learning about what network marketing is about, because after all, if you've read Rich Dad Poor Dad, or you've ever heard of Robert Kiyosaki or Donald Trump, they've said in interviews, if they were in a position where they had to start over and they lost everything, what would they do to gain back their wealth? And not only those two, but many other already rich and successful people say network marketing is the way to go. And this right here, this simple, thin little book, which is actually a lot of fun to read, this is the system that Paul talked about in the 45-second presentation that he started this hangout off with. And so far, for those of you who might be new to these hangouts, we've gone through the first 5 chapters, the first 4 napkin presentations, and we're going to move forward with the book. So if you want to get up to speed on where we've been, you can certainly go and watch the past hangouts. I think it's been about 30 hangouts now since we started going through this book, and we're only up to chapter 6. Now, it's a short book, but it's important to get this book at the cellular level and make this part of your belief system. So chapter 1 of the book, just a quick overview because I want to get into some new content today, is just basically the do's and don'ts of network marketing, the basic what it is, what it isn't, which leading into chapters 2, 3, and 4 are really the foundational parts of the book that show you that it's not about selling, it's about teaching and training people and just sharing. It's about getting involved with a company that you believe in the products, and it's about not going out there and selling this to a whole bunch of people, but the powers of just small numbers multiplied with the basic multi-level marketing system that encompasses the network marketing business that we have through Swiss Gold Global. But really, this book will work for just about any network marketing business, multi-level marketing business that you may want to get yourself involved with. And then the chapter 5, basically, the napkin presentation 4, is just about the importance of building your bedrock, building your foundation to your business, which leads us into chapter 6 of the Own Your Life Plan book, which is napkin presentation number 5, which basically, I'm going to go to my notes here because I kind of lost my train of thought, so I'm trying to get better at keeping bullet points.
Before you jump right into that, John, let me just throw something in real quick here.
Absolutely.
I just want to add in that the whole book, the educational part of this, the first 4 chapters or first 5 chapters of this book is the real foundation of what step 1 is in building your organization, which really is getting started with something, first of all, because you're not going to go anywhere if you don't get started with something. And then secondarily, the very first step is sponsoring. And that's what these first 5 chapters are about. What you are doing is you've got to go out there and bring people in. You're going to sponsor people into the organization. While you're doing this, you're being taught. Okay? So the person above you who brought you in, they're completing step 2, which is teaching the people you bring in. So step 1 is you are bringing people into the organization. Step 2 now is where you begin teaching people. This is a little bit odd. It might feel a little funny at first. It's something different. It's not something that you've done throughout your lifetime. It's going to take a little bit of a switch in your thinking, a little bit of a different approach when you're just in general conversation with people. Your mind is going to be thinking about this and how you can incorporate this into a conversation when you are talking with anybody. And in the very, very beginning, when you first start doing this, that's hard to do. You're not really thinking about this. You're talking to somebody and you're having a good time, whatever, but your number one objective isn't to think about this and to present your opportunity. That's the little hitch in the giddy up, is really getting over that little hump of figuring out how to bring this in. And it really just comes down to a lot of what we talk about here, which is the mindset and the way that you think, and a lot of the practice of doing this stuff over and over, so you just get a little bit familiarized with it so that you do start thinking about it more. It is at the forefront of your thought process, so that you're consciously trying to figure out how to get to it. That's where it's really, really hard to, as napkin presentation number 3, get this thing into first gear. Is getting that, letting out the clutch of opening up your thought patterns to get this new thought pattern into your mind, into the forefront of your mind, so that it'll come out very easily. So I just wanted to kind of throw that little transition. That's where everybody is going to have the most difficult time, is just getting accustomed to having this material and being able to get it out to other people. But that's what we're all here for. That's what your upline is here for, is for the support. So really, you just have a very, very small piece in that puzzle, which is really just to introduce somebody to either the book or the website, to go look at a couple of videos or to read the first 4 chapters, where pretty much like all the work's done for you. So it really makes it very simple. And it's just a little, tiny little thing of getting over that, I don't know, uncomfortableness or odd feeling that you're doing something different. And that's the whole getting out of your comfort zone thing and just becoming comfortable with it. So I just wanted to throw that in, that one little key piece. It's not hard to do. It's just going to take a little bit of time. And you just have to be willing to, I don't know, maybe suffer a little bit through some anguish of maybe a little embarrassment or feeling funny or something like that. But hey, you know what? Hurt feelings can be gotten over. It's not a big deal.
Absolutely, Paul. I'm glad you made those points. I really am, because it's important for people to understand what Paul just said there, because this business model really does work, and it's going to be a little bit of an awkwardness or a discomfort maybe for you in the beginning, because it's out of your comfort zone. But you've got to actually, in my opinion, Paul, I think when you're reading this book and you're watching these hangouts and you're meeting with your upline and you see the success that they had, you've got to, I'd say, let yourself go a little bit and just be open to it. And don't read this book with the mindset that, okay, I can do it better than what this book is saying. I can take what these guys are teaching and talking about each hangout, and I can improve on that, and I can make it better. Don't let your mind go there maybe just yet. Just allow this book to like sink in and allow the concepts that Paul and I are talking about here with network marketing sink in and become part of your belief system, and don't question it at first. This is a true, tried and true
Well,
system.
yeah, because you know what, I can experience.
Go ahead, Paul. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I thought you stopped there. I thought you stopped there because you kind of froze for a second. I thought you actually stopped talking, but I can actually attest to this too. I remember the very first time that I opened my mouth to someone semi-stranger, even somebody I kind of knew, but the first time I opened my mouth live in person about, network marketing and Swiss Gold Global and Own Your Life and all of this stuff to someone, it didn't come out right. I didn't follow the steps of the book. I never gave the 45-second presentation. I didn't go with, the exact. I didn't get into one of the napkin presentations, which after talking with this person, I remember immediately thinking, back on what we talked about and going, oh, you know what, right. When we were at that point, it would have been a perfect time for me to show him napkin presentation number one. But that stuff wasn't in my mind. It wasn't commonplace. It wasn't a forethought for me. So it didn't flow the right way. But it doesn't mean that I didn't get it out there and make the invitation for them to go look at the website. I think if I'm not mistaken, I think that's what I did, was I invited them to go look at the website and the videos. So I made the invitation. It didn't flow, perfectly to pattern, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, but the whole thing is I made the invitation, and the really, really, the awesome part that I remember about it the most is that I remember when I started talking about it, it was a little awkward to bring it up. We were having a conversation about the guy had been working 2 jobs. He was having a hassle with the second job because they were messing with his hours and this, that, and the other thing. And he only ended up working there a short time. And so and how he was on painkillers because he's working construction, and how he's on these painkillers for his back pain, and how he has to take them all every day, and he hates doing it. And that presented the perfect opportunity for me to say, you need to, have you ever thought about looking into something? Another way of earning money. I don't mean anything illegal here, but he was just like blown away. He had no idea what the heck I was talking about. And he's like, well, I mean, that's all there is, isn't there? You either get a job or you're selling drugs on the corner or something, right? I'm like, no. He had no clue. It was awesome. And the more I started talking about it and I saw his interest light up in the fact of, wow, there's another way to make money, I started getting really excited, which is probably why I had no possibility of following the steps here, because I was getting excited myself. I mean, I was getting for what I was saying was getting me energized, and I was just going off in all directions, So that's where, but it's really cool. I mean, the first time you start talking to somebody and you start seeing them, especially somebody like that who has no idea about any of this, and you start seeing their eyes light up as to there's another way to really make money, and especially when I kind of introduced the whole idea of do something once and get paid forever, and his eyes got about that big. It was really awesome.
Totally. And you know what, Paul? That actually kind of leads us to the next section of the book, which is all about the concept of the gold ships. You've heard people use the phrase, my ship is coming in. What does that actually mean? Now we're getting into the part of the book that is really, once you start to establish yourself and you've got a little understanding and you're starting to really work the business. And now, like Paul just said, a guy like that who's excited about the idea, who's motivated by the concept that there's another way to make money, those are the kind of people we're looking for. And we talk about, through the last several hangouts and throughout the first 4 chapters of the book, about finding the 5 serious people. Well, we refer to these people as the gold ships. And one of the reasons you can give people for wanting to sponsor them into this organization anyways, in addition to like Paul's pitch to this guy about, there's another way, is, ask somebody. I mean, most people, they're going to work 30 to 40 years at a job so they can retire one day, right? And when they finally do retire, That's when they plan on doing all these things that they put off for 30, 40 years while they were going to work. But what happens, Paul, when most people retire? They
They
retire on what?
retire.
A third of their income?
Yeah,
A
half
third
of
of
that.
their income. You know, this is one of the things that if you read this book, you and get this at the cellular level, and that's why we're so repetitive and it's taking us so long to go through this book, is not only because we want it ingrained in the people watching these hangouts how important it is to really understand and get each one of these napkin presentations, but it's also because these napkin presentations are self-motivating. And when you get out there and you begin to talk about this business and you see the look on someone's face when they really grasp what you're telling them, and you can give them reasons like the 45-second presentation, point out the fact that, hey, your plan of retirement in 30, 40 years, it's absolutely flawed. What happens if I can give you the opportunity to do that in 3 to 4 years, and you won't have to sacrifice in your income? In fact, in 3 to 4 years, you could take a step back, leave your job, and be making more than what you were making at that job. And that's what network marketing is all about. And I'm just going to go ahead. I drew this out. You see those? Imagine you're standing on that shoreline and you're waiting for your ship to come in. You've got your gold ship, you've got your silver ship, and you've got your MT, which is basically the empty ship. So I really think we're actually out of time, but I want to leave people with the concept of you're on shore and you're waiting for your ship to come in. You know that your plan of retirement, of working that job for 30 to 40 years, is not really a good plan at all, because you can't retire on a third of your income. You're not going to be able to see the world. You barely make ends meet while you're working. How are you going to make ends meet when you're done working if you're retiring on a third of your income? You'll be working forever. Let us show you a way and a system. We've already gone through the first couple presentations. And now let's show you how you can get your ships to come in now that you've begun to understand and build your organization. So I'm going to leave it off at that unless Paul wants to take it a little bit further. But I think that's a good place to leave us going into Wednesday. We can jump right into what that napkin presentation is all about. So I'm going to toss it back to Paul to say a final thought and close us out of here.
O universe, I ask not for more riches, but for more wisdom, with which to make better use of the riches given to me at birth, consisting of the power to control and direct my own mind to whatever end I might desire. And if you want to be actually at the dock when your ship does come in, you're going to want to come back and see some more of these broadcasts.